Thanks very much. Right, Serigne, sorry, my geography's bad today, so over to you. Let's. Where are you joining from? What's your background?
No problem. Thanks. Yeah. So my name is Serigne Fall, from Senegal. Currently also based in Senegal. So I have a bit of experience, a bit around. So I've done like engineering from management consulting, and then ended up in research around 7, 8 years ago now. Not as experienced as Karen, but still somewhere around there. And yeah, so co-founder of LOOKA, which is pretty much research tech startup based in Senegal, where we help pretty much bridge the gap between organizations and African consumers. So yeah, we are actually a spin-off of an agency, a design agency called UX Design, which started out back in 2016 as one of their products that they were trying to scale to help make market research a bit more accessible in Africa. So we started out doing a lot of more like typical surveys, offline, online, and recruitment for qualitative research, and now are now scaling more products such as like our data hub and our AI moderated interviewer, just still in the same vision of making market research accessible to all.
You have pivoted the entire business effectively. You started as an agency, you ran with parallel within a sort of agency built product, and then divested the agency, focused and built, a product focused business.
Yeah.
So Serigne, can you tell us a bit more about your story on the tech side of things? Because you had UX Design, more of a kind of like design product UX research agency, and then you built the LOOKA product. What led to that?
Yeah. So me and my two co-founders were working at UX Design at that point. And one of the things that we had realized was that operations was just a pain at every project. Like something as simple as just like recruiting 5 people would take so much time. People would have like so many issues because you don't really have a lot of ops experts per se. And especially what happens is when you're working in the African market, it's very fragmented, very diverse markets within. So you have like 15 to 54 different markets with each of their own realities. So as an agency, and what we have seen widespread is, it's very hard to have that internal capacity for yourself, because you need to be kind of like in a vertical and horizontal way, very widespread, which is kind of hard to do on your own. So then that's when we figured out that there was a gap of, okay, we can maybe try to see how we can use tech to handle that issue, which at the beginning was an internal thing just for the agency. And then as we started working on it, we thought about the fact, okay, maybe this is something that other people are facing. It could be agencies, it could be companies. And that's when we kind of like started externalizing the service, still as more of like an agency building the tech. And then at some point is when we realize, okay, you can be an optimized agency to a certain extent, but at some point you have to kind of like make the full pivot. And so that's at that point is when we realized, okay, we need to have like a very specific team with a very different set of skill sets to kind of like be able to work on the tech and research aspect of it and see, okay, how can we now become a research ops tool to now help people just focus, narrow down the focus really to just that aspect of it, really like clutch out all the other aspects and try to be as efficient as possible. And that's kind of like the story of how LOOKA research came up together. And then now we just realized, okay, you started working on one specific product, which is just for the surveys, and then realize, okay, we can actually have a set of different products and become like this end-to-end toolkit to be able to handle your research operations across the continent.
Yeah, fascinating. You said something there which I think is an hour-long discussion in itself, which is 54 countries. I guess the kind of variety and the differences that you have to deal with is quite a layer of complexity there as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty much like you realize that you can't have like you can have a one-stop shop framework of how to go about things, but then when you get into the deep of each country, you have to pretty much have to be flexible enough to adapt to all of them. And for that, you really need to really be just focused on handling that part of it to really actually be optimized and efficient to handle the different markets at the same time.
Yeah. So tell us the components of LOOKA. It's surveys, it's recruitment for participants, effectively, making that whole research ops layer much more straightforward. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So essentially what we do is we combine the technology aspect with the human network. So the human network is our surveyors, it's our panel of respondents that allows us to be both offline and online. And then the tech aspect of it, how it helps us optimize internally. So you reduce the cost because now you don't have to be paying flight tickets to be able to go to places. You can actually handle everything remotely. Yeah. And then now what we're doing is now, after we figured that part, which is kind of like the basics, is now the next level of it is, okay, how can we use now research to be able to optimize in terms of speed? So which is why now we're trying to work on an AI moderator to help people to be able to do qualitative research at a bigger scale, also at a lesser cost. And now how can we now fix also the problem of speed in terms of you getting the data, where getting data in Africa still takes a lot of time. It takes weeks to collect data. Now, how can we now develop instant market data so that people can have access to the data? So when the client now comes and be like, I need data yesterday, then the data is already here that they can use, to kind of be able to do research the proper way, which takes a lot of time. But now that we have pretty much the tech infrastructure and the research infrastructure to be able to do that, is now the next level that we're taking on the product side.